Hello, this is Annalisa from Faith Dream Create, and welcome back to my channel. Today I have 3 cards for you in my Recycle With Me series. This is also a part of my 2019 Fall Card series. For today's cards, I will be using this pumpkin pie box. I thought it had a lot of things that were fun on here, and it was different, and it had a lot of different designs and a baking theme. So I'm just going ahead and creating the first card. And I'm cutting down some craft cardstock with my paper cutter here and getting it ready for a background. And then I will be using the 3 pumpkins that were on the pumpkin pie box. And so I'm just arranging the pumpkins here, figuring out where I wanted them. And then I grabbed some orange ink from Colorbox that I had in my collection to add some color to the edges here and just inked that on directly. And then I did the same to the craft cardstock. And then I brought in some Distress Oxide inks here in a little bit and did the same thing. So I'm using the Vintage Photo Distress Oxide ink here, and especially on the craft cardstock, I found that the orange didn't really show up, and this brown here just made it show up a little bit, and I added it to the card base as well. And then arranged the pumpkins again so I could work on my sentiment. So I'm using the Ranger Emboss It pen in the black, and I'm just writing out my sentiment, and I'm writing, "Hey there, pumpkin." And then I used the Ranger clear embossing powder to go over that writing that I just did, and then I will heat set that with my heat tool to melt that powder and just make the letters popped. And the one thing that's really great about embossing powder, I love the feeling of it after, like how it's raised. And then I was ready to adhere everything together, so for the background I used the Advanced Tape Glider, and then for the pumpkins I use the Xyron Sticker Maker, since they're smaller pieces, and that makes for a quick and easy adhering and gets the job done. And then I will jump into the second card once these pumpkins are adhered. And this next one is, I had to think outside the box because I wasn't really sure what I was going to do, but I like how it turned out, and I hope you do too. So I started off by cutting down the piece that I'd cut out from the box and just making sure that all of the edges were straight. And then this is a mixing bowl on here, so it's before you're creating the pie. And so kind of a baking theme that I went with here. So, but before I get to that, I'm just using the Fired Brick Distress Oxide ink and stamping it or pushing it directly onto the card base here to create a pattern and a background for the piece from the box. And then I grabbed out the Emboss It Ranger embossing pen again, and I'm writing, "What's stirring in the fall?" because it was a mixing bowl for making the pumpkin pie, and I thought that was a fun and different sentiment, kind of like you give it to your friend, like, "What's stirring? Let's hang out." Anyway, so using some red embossing powder that was in my collection, and it didn't actually end up going on red. I guess it's because of the material. It was a very slick, shiny material that this box had, but it's still embossed, and it kind of went more black, so I guess it worked like a black embossing powder or a clear embossing powder. And then I'm just adhering this piece to the card base with the Advanced Tape Glider, and then to finish off this card I grabbed some Nouveau drops in the Autumn Red color just to add a little bit more to this card and finish it. And I really like how this just added a little bit more without adding too much to the card. And the red on it complemented the orange from the box, I feel. And then I have one more card for you today, and I really like how this next one turned out as well. So I'm just cutting down the strip of paper here from the box. It's more like a cardboard, but so making sure all the edges were straight. And then I go ahead and put it onto the card base, and it was a little bit too big, so I cut it down so it fit. And then I grabbed the color box orange color again and just stamped it directly onto the background here, and creating that orange in the background, and then adhered that to the card base. And once that was adhered down, I was able to work on the sentiment and the other parts. So I'm using the Heffy Doodle and Simon Says Stamp collaboration from last year, so from 2019, and it was called More Than S'mores. And it has pumpkin spice references, so I thought this would be perfect. And it also talks about pumpkin pie, so it says, I love you even more than pumpkin pie. So since it's the pumpkin pie box, this worked. And then I just grabbed two of the little stamps from there that are pumpkin pie and pumpkin pie slice, and I just inked them up, and I used Vintage Photo Distress Oxide ink for the sentiment and the pies. I just added it, made it like a little pattern paper. And I really like how this turned out and how cute these little images of the pumpkin pies are. And then that is going to finish off the card. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.